We were pulled out of 13 million households right around midnight Tuesday night. Newsmax, far and away the fourth biggest cable network in the country. A lot of people enjoy us. Some people don't watch us. That's fine. They can watch whatever they want. But shouldn't Newsmax be an option?
Absolutely, it should be an option, and we shouldn't have conservative voices being silenced.
Okay, so Newsmax is off of AT&T, DirecTV. They're having this back and forth, and we're gonna get into why they actually were taken off, or at the very least, why that corporation is saying they took Newsmax off. But of course, Newsmax is going to pitch it the way that makes them out to be the victims, that this is them being silenced or them being censored, even though they still exist. They're not being banned from broadcasting. They've just lost access to one avenue for people to see them, which they don't control. A case can be made they are not entitled to that. After all, if not being on DirecTV means that you're being silenced or censored, put the damage report on as a channel. Why am I being silenced? Why am I being censored? I don't have my own channel on DirecTV. I mean, some people like me, some people don't. You can watch whatever you want, but I just think that people should have the choice to see the damage report at any point on DirecTV they want. Also, it's entirely possible we're on DirecTV. I'm not actually sure. But anyway, you get what I'm saying. That said, they have more to say about this change by AT&T. Take a look at this.
Yeah, well, they got rid of One America. Now they got rid of Newsmax. Only Fox News is left as conservative leaning. And you have 22 liberal channels. Let me give you an example. Vice, which is a far left channel aimed at young millennials, pro Antifa, all of that stuff. They are on all of DirecTV. They have a tiny rating, just 20% of Newsmax's lowest rating. And they get a fee about what we were asking for. So it's a very clear example of political discrimination. That's why we're fighting back.
Yes, very, very clear example of political discrimination. And they believe that you need to be fair, you need to be accurate, which is why they identify, and thank you to them for doing this, that Fox News is conservative leaning. If you look closely, you can perceive a slight tilt towards conservative in some of their programming. But anyway, of course they have to say that because they pitch themselves as being the true conservative, far and away fourth biggest conservative news network or whatever. So anyway, Miranda, we're gonna get into the financial argument for why they no longer were entitled to that spot. But what do you think about the way that they're pitching this, the narrative that they're trying to construct?
I mean, I'm not surprised, but I'm like, do you need me to call you a wambulance? Because no one is more delicate than conservatives thinking that something is being taken from them. I guess it's, you'll never take my Newsmax or my fire stove from my cold dead hands. There's obviously, it's not the real reason. No one's trying to censor you. And you're right. If not being on DirecTV is censorship, well, hello, here we are. We're not on every network. Does that mean we're being censored? That's not how TV works, and that's not how capitalist TV works. And what we're gonna get into, it's all about money and making money and rates for the show and all of that.
100%. Again, yeah, that's not how silencing works. Like, you can be frustrated. If we were on a network and we were taken off, we would be frustrated too. That is fair. But it's not silencing and it's not censorship. It literally can't be censorship because it's not the government. Schools in Florida are so focused on banning courses. Could they just have a course where the entire course, the whole semester, is just, here is what the First Amendment actually says. It's required reading. We're just gonna read it every day over and over and over again until people understand what censorship actually is, because this ain't it. Now, prominent right-wingers are performatively freaking out over AT&T and DirecTV removing Newsmax from their lineup. Here we have Donald Trump with a real winner of a bleat. Wow, AT&T DirecTV removes Newsmax from its channel lineup. This disgusting move comes after a deplatforming. Again, you don't have to put quotes around it. They were deplatformed, you can just say that. OAN last year, the radical left seems to have taken over the mind and soul of AT&T. This is a big blow to the Republican Party and to America itself. For DirecTV to drop very popular Newsmax without explanation, which they have provided, will not be accepted. I, for one, will be dropping all association with AT&T and DirecTV, and I have plenty. This is just one of many reasons why he must win in 2024. I don't know what affiliation he has with those. They don't seem particularly worried about it. His spawn decided to jump in. Outrageous. ATT just dropped Newsmax. I love that he just puts ATT. This is a guy who thought SNL, he thought it was an N. Anyway, he says it's time for Americans to return the favor and drop AT&T, which is fine. I think that's a legitimate thing to ask for. You don't like a programming decision they made, call for a boycott. That is totally your right. But he can't end there. There has to be grift. Patriot Mobile is the only conservative mobile provider. Use code Don Jr. for free activation. I'm gonna ask a rhetorical question, and I call it rhetorical because I don't really care, and I'm not gonna look into it. What about Patriot Mobile makes it conservative? It's a mobile provider. What would be ideological? Okay. And definitely use his code so that he can get some sort of kickback. This multi-millionaire needs the $10 or whatever he'll get when you sign up for Patriot Mobile. Anyway, there are also House Republicans that are saying they're gonna have some sort of hearing. So they're gonna pull in AT&T because they don't like a routine programming decision that they make. They bring on new channels and get rid of channels all the time. Every provider does that. But in this case, it's not acceptable. And by the way, if your concern actually is censorship, violations of the First Amendment rights or whatever, as I've already laid out, AT&T choosing to get rid of a channel cannot be that by definition. But in theory, the government doing these investigations, if they force them to bring them back, then that seems kind of like a violation of the First Amendment rights of AT&T and DirecTV. I don't think it's gonna go that far. I think they're just gonna do their performative hearings or whatever. But this is the government getting involved. That is the area in which the First Amendment is actually interested. So yeah, I just think it's ironic. Again, it's like with the structural racism stuff in Florida, in being so aggrieved over what isn't an instance of it, they prove that they are perfectly fine with it.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.